Seomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the tiny room. Welcome back to Seomra Beag. I am the Michael of Michaelandbenjaminspodcast, and I am joined by the man who, if podcasts were Spider-Man, he would be the Tobey Maguire of podcasts. It's Benjamin. Say hello, Benjamin.
Hello, Benjamin. That's relatively complimentary. I'll take it.
What I mean is that you're a 36-year-old man hanging around a high school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotcha.
That's much worse.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
How old is Tobey Maguire now?
Toby Ems.
Yeah, he's probably 50, isn't he?
T-Mags. T-Mags is coming up to... He's not young.
This is bloody rap name,
he's
isn't
not
it?
spry.
When
T-Mags.
he's
On the trek.
Yeah, T-Mags, up in here. I don't know what rap sounds like anymore. You know what I do know? What theme music.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will make some up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
Oh god, this is going to be a loose one. This is going to be a loose one.
Loosey-goosey.
Benjamin, speaking of things which are loose,
Oh.
a loose agreement or an ironclad agreement has been signed to produce a Sandman television show.
There's been a tenuous agreement made. No, they've commissioned it. They're looking for a pilot. They've commissioned the pilot.
You don't need a pilot. Oh, the pilot.
Just to see the viability, I think, more than anything else. Of Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Is it, as per protocol, we're going to continue to mispronounce things called Sandman. Ben, is it Netflix?
It is Netflix. It will be a TV series.
Oh.
It is not a film.
Oh.
The last we heard of the Sandman development hell, and that's very much what it is, was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's attempt to turn it into a movie starring himself, because Joseph Gordon-Levitt loves to put himself in things.
Well, who doesn't, Ben?
But, very fair. Very fair, Mark. I have no witty retort to that.
Yeah, no, look
we
at
love
us here.
putting ourselves
making a bloody podcast, doing a video.
But it's now going over to Netflix. There has been much joyous rejoicing from those fans of Sandman. They're very much looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. It's interesting because I think Netflix has just made an agreement not to over-budget things in the future. Ben Affleck recently released a new film on Netflix, Triple Frontier.
Yeah.
Terrible name for a film. Very generic.
Is that the one about the gunmen who become drugsmen?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I haven't watched it.
It has flopped massively.
Has it?
And it had quite a hefty budget.
Or budget.
A budget, as I enjoy saying. How was the budget for the podcast, Michael? Very good, Ben.
Very
We
low.
should call it budget.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's tanked. So it's interesting. There are two things happening. Netflix is lowering their budget for things, and they've also taken on a massively ambitious project.
That's a good combination.
So that's a
isn't
good
it?
combination.
Ben, are there any casting rumours?
There have been none so far.
I've heard Ezra Miller for Desire.
That would work very well.
Very interesting.
Very androgynous young man, that
Isn't
Ezra
it?
Miller.
Exactly.
Mm.
He could easily be a lady on one side and a man on the other
Perfect
side.
choice, really.
Is that what Desire does, or is that the Chaos
Desire's
Gods?
androgynous. She's a little bit of whatever you're having yourself.
A little bit of How's Your Father?
Yeah, exactly. Ezra Miller did a very good Met Gala dress where he was a very androgynous creature.
Did he?
Yes, you can look it up on the Met Gala photographs of Ezra Miller. So I think that would be an excellent fit for him.
Have you ever been to the Met Gala, Ben?
Only twice as a fluffer.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
But a fluffer of dresses, Michael.
Oh,
a fluffer of dresses.
not-
What did you think I meant, Michael?
I thought you meant you were wanking off a celebrity so they were erect.
Oh no, that's after.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah. I wasn't paid for that. But Ezra Miller would be very good Desire. There's also been a little bit of talk. A lot of fans want to see the Norwegian gentleman who played Tormund in Game of Thrones.
Yes, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
A lot of them wanted him to play the unusual immortal character in Sandman, Hobbs. Yeah, they wanted to play Hobbs, and then
Hob.
One of the other. They wanted to play the unusual immortal character, and I found myself looking at him going, "No, he's destruction. He is the perfect casting choice for destruction of the Endless.
Is. Yeah, that's true.
And I was looking at this on Reddit, and they were like, "Oh, he'd be a great Hobbs." I was like, "No, he'd be a fantastic Destruction."
He would. Destruction is a bit of a minor character, though.
But that's okay, because I don't know if Tormund
isn't his real name.
Tormund Giantsbane has really earned himself front row seating.
Who's going to play Dream of the Endless?
I mean, there's a question and a half. Keanu Reeves, because he's the internet's hot boy, has been, dreamcasted as Dream of the Endless.
I mean, that would be within his range.
Don't think he has the acting chops to pull it off completely,
I think he does.
Do you?
Yeah.
He'd be an interesting... He looks the part.
Yeah, and I think it's in his range.
Looks the part. Have to be a very skinny man.
Have to be a
though.
bit of a skinny man, yeah. Who'll play Death, Ben? That's the most important question, really, isn't it?
Well, my money's on... noted Doom Patrol actress Veronica Good. I'm not going to get it, but she plays Crazy Jane. Crazy Jane. I'd like to see her
Do
as
you think they'd cast her in another kind of
Well,
semi-DC
she's doing a lot of
property?
voice work for the DC animated properties. I know it's not quite the same thing, but she seems to have a strong contract with the lads.
Diana Guerrera, is that her name?
That's it. Got it. Look at you. I'd like to see her. That'd be interesting.
You'd just like to see her,
I'd
though,
just
wouldn't
like
you?
to see her, yeah. She
Bloody-
doesn't have to be in Sandman. DC, get on it.
Yeah.
Watch a fair few things.
If you don't get on it, Ben will bloody get on it.
Who would you cast as Death? I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah, well, we talk about it. Given any half an opportunity. I don't know, Ben. I've somewhat, being a man of almost 37 years, I've somewhat lost touch with who are the hot new 24-year-old actors.
That's fair.
Someone from Riverdale.
Get Nell Zendaya in there. Zendaya could make a good
Zendaya would
Death.
be pretty good.
Zendaya
Yeah,
could make a good Death.
she's pretty skinny.
I don't know whether it's the skinny thing that we're looking for, but she's got the right vibe. She's got the right vibe.
Anyway, look, Ben. Bloody, I'm looking at the notes here, and I appear to have written down a Korean man's name. I've just written Jungmin, but I think I meant Jumanji.
I think you meant Jumanji.
I meant to write Jumanji. There's a new trailer for a Jumanji.
For a
Ben.
Jumanji.
Jumanji
2.
3?
Next level.
Yeah.
It's technically Jumanji 3, I guess.
I suppose.
But we're going to have to retcon. We're going to do a new canon. Jumanji 2.
Jumanji
Next level.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Is that really what it's called?
Yeah.
Or are you making that up?
No, it's next level. Jumanji 2, next level.
But is it called Jumanji 2? I don't think it's called Jumanji 2. Cause
Jumanji next level.
It's just
Let's go with
Jumanji.
that.
Is it next level or the next level?
This is not good podcast.
You know who's in it?
Who?
The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
He is.
You know who else is in it?
Karen Gillan
Karen Gillan.
from television and film.
Danny DeVito.
Yes.
Just making an appearance.
Surprise appearance.
Donald Glover, of all people, is going to be in it. Not Donald Glover, Childish Gambino Donald Glover. Donald Glover Sr., not an actual senior of that man, not his father, but Donald Glover of Lethal Weapon fame. John Glover, not Donald Glover. Shit. That took me a while.
That was absolutely
John
spectacular.
Glover.
Just for the ladies and gentlemen, I just looked at Ben witheringly while he did that. That was...
John Glover.
Is it?
I don't know. But
You've said it now so many times. It's Danny Glover.
Danny Glover. That's who it is.
You lunatic.
That's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that was spectacular.
Fuck.
Anyway, Ben, it looks like they're doing a mix-up. The different people are different people now.
They're swapping the bodies, but the paycheck is still going to The Rock, Karen Gillan, Jack Black, and Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart seems to be just doing his best Danny Glover impression.
Yeah, it will be hard to sustain that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough dynamic.
Because this time they're having to do impressions of famous people
And old famous people.
In the first film, they were playing 4 unknowns.
Yeah, which is useful.
Very easy to do, relatively speaking. I mean, it's still acting.
It's still acting, but then there's the added difficulty of they've swapped bodies as well. They're not the same characters they were in the original. So now you've got new roles, new personalities for the old roles. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. We'll see
if The Rock can maintain Danny DeVito for an hour.
Well, let's find out.
Although they might switch around a few times or something. Who knows? Maybe
Seems
there's
to
a
be
glitch in the game.
A decent reboot for the series, though. It seems to stay true to the original in many. It lacks that dark tone that the originals had. It's far more a comedy ensemble, but they're enjoyable. The first one was enjoyable.
I like the first one.
It was an enjoyable flick, a romp,
a jape,
a witticism. No, that's not right. But you get the idea. It was good crack.
Speaking of reboots of things from the 80s and 90s, Ben.
Off you go now.
Neither of us has seen Stranger Things Season 3.
I kind of gave up after Stranger Things Season 2.
Well, I think you've made a grave error there. Because
Probably.
The reviews for this are very, very good.
Are they very good?
They're very, very strong. But Ben, as you know, it's our summer period and we're very busy men.
We're very busy.
So we bloody haven't seen it.
This is why the rambly quality of the podcast really makes a resurgence at this time of year, because we just don't have time to do things, Michael.
Just fill the podcast.
So many anecdotes, Michael.
Yeah, bloody, I remember when I first saw Stranger Things. It takes me back. Yeah, no, I didn't think it'd be good, but then it was, and I enjoyed it. And then I watched the second one, and I didn't enjoy it as much, but it was still pretty good.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we in the business call podcast gold.
Podcast magic. Look, Ben, we'll watch it later.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
We'll probably do a whole episode about it.
Coconut Head having a little panic attack again here and there.
Who's Coconut Head?
Will. Will is Coconut Head.
Oh, because of his hair.
Yeah. Looking forward to see how Winona recovers from her loss of Sean Astin. I reckon the sheriff's going to move on in there. David Harbour's going to...
Oh, yeah, he got killed, yeah.
He got a bloody killing.
Yeah, they killed. He got bloody Frodo.
He got Frodo'd.
Oh.
No, he didn't. But yeah, they threw him into a volcano at the end of Stranger Things too.
Oh, I remember that differently.
Do you? What happened?
I don't know. He got killed by things, alien dogs.
No, he got killed by...
in the volcano, straight in the volcano.
In the volcano.
Ben, anyway, have you seen the controversy that Netflix have faced this week about smoking?
Oh, no.
Because they're setting everything in the 80s. Everyone smoked in the 80s.
It was acceptable in the 80s.
Exactly, Ben. There's a song that goes something like that. I think it was... We came from the year 3000. No, that's a different. That's McFly. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's busted.
Shut up, Donald Glover Senior. You don't get to.
Donnie Glover. It was a close guess.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Controversy. Smoking.
Yeah,
Netflix.
because they're setting everything in the 80s. They have everyone bloody lighting up the whole time.
Lighten up. Baby, light it up.
Very bad. And now they've said that they'll only be doing everybody smoking in future if it's historically accurate and necessary for the plot.
Baby, light it up, but only if it's historically accurate.
And necessary for the plot. And
we're back.
Yeah, because if you think back, Ben, Stranger Things, a lot of smoking in Stranger Things, a lot of smoking in Glow.
Gratuitous.
No, I know it wasn't a Netflix production. A lot of smoking in Chernobyl.
But I'm assuming that the 80s was filled with cigarettes.
It was, Ben. I remember them not vaguely. What's the opposite of vaguely? Vividly.
Vividly.
I remember them vividly, and there was cigarettes everywhere.
Fags galore. Is that inappropriate?
Anyway, Legion. Pretty good, isn't it? You should watch that.
I haven't gotten around to it, Michael.
Ben, it's very good.
Is Aubrey Plaza back at peak?
Aubrey Plaza isn't in the first episode very much.
Would she make a good death?
I think she might be too old now. I think, unfortunately. I think she might have in the early days.
Yeah, it would have been good. Would have been good.
But look...
That doesn't look right.
No, that looks a bit funny, doesn't it? Let's assume it's fine.
That, ladies and gentlemen, you can mark it right there. About 20 minutes into episode 108 of the podcast is where we just gave up.
That's where standards slipped. Finally, that's where we finally lost our standards because it's summer and we're too busy.
That was the end.
Ben,
we are too busy.
No, look, Legion, very good. You should watch it. Anyone who's not watching it, go back to the start and watch it because it's very good.
Get on it.
There's a very good sequence at the beginning of episode 1 where they're recruiting a new team member, and it's very good, very inventive, very enjoyable.
Rip roaring.
No. Not rip roaring.
Subtle.
No.
Gentle.
Inventive.
Innovative, perhaps.
No, I wouldn't say innovative.
No.
Inventive.
I just want to be part of this, Michael.
Just bloody watch it then. It's good.
Yeah, how's Charlie X?
He's not in it yet. I haven't seen him.
How's Charlie XCX? She kind of dropped off the map. I liked her first single.
What was that now?
I can't remember.
No, you didn't like it then, did you?
Yeah.
Look, anyway, watch a bloody Legion. Ben!
Yes.
It's good. We had Wednesday Night Cinema Club.
Wednesday Night Cinema Club, because I'm still afraid of being told I have coward's blood.
But this time you wanted to go.
This time I was very excited to go. I do believe I was more excited to see Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, possibly just Spider-Man Far From Home. Don't think there's a 2 in there either.
Because if it was Spider-Man 2, it would have to be Spider-Man 2, 3.
That would be true.
Which would be quite the farce.
Which would be farcical in nature. Spider-Man Far From Home. I was more excited to see that than Endgame, I think. And I only realised how excited I was as I was driving towards the cinema with your good lady friend who picked me up. Very excited to see Spider-Man 2.
Everybody loves Spider-Man then.
Yeah.
In all the excitement about Iron Man over the last few years, we kind of forgot that really the quintessential superhero is Spider-Man.
It is.
Spider-Man has been I know you don't really like to talk figures, Ben, but
Go
not
on.
action figures, money. Spider-Man has been Marvel's biggest moneymaker for years.
Still is.
Even
I'd say,
when
isn't it?
he's not the biggest selling comic or necessarily the highest grossing movies, he's just such a childhood icon.
He really is.
He sells so many underpants. He
Pajama
sells
sets.
pajamas, adult underpants with no crotch, just webbing.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's a
Oh my.
specialist website.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's adult Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Lunch
dear.
boxes. Did I say lunch boxes?
You were talking about
A bloody
adult lunchboxes.
Ugh.
Mm.
A little trike with Spider-Man on it. He just sells so much merchandise.
He's
and
a
products.
merch machine.
Birthday cakes, suits, Halloween costumes,
Tacky
just-
plastic masks that kill the planet.
Exactly, bloody
Mm.
single-use plastics. Ben, get
Say,
them out of here.
do you remember the silly string rockets that you used to be able to buy when you were a
You can
kid?
still get
and they
those,
strapped
yeah.
to your thing? Oh,
Yeah, you can get bloody Spider-Man themed Nerf pistols and everything.
Bloody
He's a
great.
money spinner. So anyway,
iconic piece of design, Michael.
people love Spider-Man is what we're saying.
Yeah,
Ben,
90s animated series. Yeah, go on.
tell us, without spoiling Spider-Man, what's basically going on in it.
Spider-Man's dealing with the loss.
No opinions.
Okay. You want a purely objective synopsis.
Not a yeah.
Yeah.
Then we'll
Spoiler
do-
free.
then
Spoiler
we'll-
free objective synopsis.
Then we'll do opinions.
a non-subjective spoiler free synopsis.
Then we'll do opinions.
Then we'll do opinions.
It's great though.
It is bloody good. Spider-Man
Yeah.
takes place after the blip,
Mhm.
which is what they call the snap in the Marvel universe, apparently.
It's quite humorous.
Because people wouldn't know it was called the snap because they weren't there when
They weren't
Thanos
there.
bloody clicked his fingers.
Exactly, that makes
so
sense.
it's a perfect fit. It's called the blip. It takes place 5 years after the initial blip, 8 months after the events of Endgame.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's picking up the pieces after his mentor, spoilers for Endgame, went the way of the no longer living.
I like, Ben, that the world has kind of memorialized Tony Stark
In a huge way.
in a huge way. So in fact, that makes this T-shirt that I'm wearing kind of in-universe fitting now.
Team Stark. Yes, because that would possibly exist in that universe now. In
Exactly.
fact, it almost certainly does.
Isn't that great?
It's interesting to see. Well, we're dealing with his legacy, certainly for the first half of the film. And Spider-Man is kind of jaded. He's tired of being
He wants a bloody
a
break.
superhero. He wants to, which is fair because everyone's looking to him
Mhm.
to take over. Everybody is asking questions like, "Are you
Are
the
you
head
new Iron
Avenger
Man?
now?"
Yeah.
And he's like, no, and he's struggling. It mirrors a little bit Tony Stark's performance in Iron Man 2, where he's struggling with his PTSD, or Iron Man 3, where he's got his PTSD, which is a technical term for PTSD.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit mirrored like that. It's interesting to see how everyone is kind of having to pick up the pieces as they go along. We see a little bit of Happy trying to make... I'm glad to see Jon Favreau back in. So he's basically looking for his place in the world. He's trying to... I suppose it rings home true the Spider-Man mantra of with great power comes great responsibility.
Interesting, though, isn't it, that... Okay, look, this isn't really a spoiler. Interesting that they... In this incarnation of Spider-Man, they're not really talking about Uncle Ben.
No, he doesn't exist in this world. He's not a big fixation point. It's a real renovation for that backstory.
It's a real
Tony
upheaval.
Stark. Tony Stark has kind of fulfilled that role now. We're not pushing it at all. I think it's interesting. I think, first of all, Marissa Tomei is Aunt May. She's much younger. And it actually does a lot more for the character. It's
And
a
you
lot
find
more
her,
for me.
Ben, you mentioned once or twice that you do find her quite attractive.
She's incredibly attractive.
You didn't mention it in quite a gentlemanly way.
I did. Don't you dare besmirch me on this. No, I didn't. That's fair. But it's a much younger Spider-Man. It's a much more up-to-date, vibrant Spider-Man. Oddly enough, one of the things I find impressive about it as a film is it really does teenage stuff without being out-of-date teenage stuff.
Go on.
For example, there's no shoving Fortnite into the thing as a reference or anything like that. So it won't date as badly. They seem to have avoided meme culture in a way that they didn't in the first one. And they focus much more on teenage problems, like getting the girl.
Getting the girl.
So basically, Spider-Man
Bloody
takes...
Brad. Get out of here, Brad.
Fucking Brad. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
I know we said no opinions, but fucking Brad.
Oh, I hate Brad.
Oh, Brad was a real bad egg. So we were looking basically, one of the important things that we had to look at there was Spider-Man wants a break. And he takes this opportunity to go to Europe. That's where we are, Michael.
That's where we live, Ben. I've been to every place in that film.
So have I.
Yeah.
Oh. Really enjoyable. And he decides to go on a romp and decides to forget the suit because he won't need it. But then Nick Fury gets involved.
Bloody Nick Fury.
And Nick Fury, who can't leave people alone because he's a real meddler.
Get out of here.
Yeah, fuck off, Fury.
Yeah, leave him alone.
Jesus, he's a kid. And they get him involved. And then Spider-Man finds a new idol. Comes across Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio and kind of starts to look up to him because he's from an alternate reality, apparently. And he starts to look up to him, and he maybe finds a surrogate Stark in Jake Gyllenhaal. And we have to watch the movie unfold from there. With great power comes great responsibility, but should that responsibility be borne for too long, Michael?
Yeah. The theme of it, Ben, is definitely with great power comes great responsibility. But no one ever actually says that.
Yes, nobody ever says that. But more importantly, I think with great power comes great responsibility, but you have to decide how you're going to seize that responsibility and take care of it. So it's very interesting. It's a real question of legacy versus your own path.
Yes.
And how you're going to do these kinds of things. It's very interesting. Very interesting. I enjoyed it immensely, Michael.
Ben, let's bloody get into a review then, and there might be spoilers from here.
There will be. From here on out, Spooderman spoilers for all.
We're bloody 20 minutes or so in, so we're gonna start spoiling it.
Full spoils.
Narratively, Ben, not the most complex film.
No, it's a simple story by points.
Yeah.
It's a classic hero's journey.
Is
of
it?
Sorts. Well, you have Spider-Man in his regular world of New York.
Yeah.
You have the call to adventure, which in this particular case could be two things.
Yeah.
It's either going on the trip to Europe, somewhere he's never been before,
or fighting the elementals.
asking out MJ, or dealing with an alternate reality that's coming knocking. Mm-hmm. So those are the two things that we have to deal with here. You have your call to adventure. You have your wise old mentor. You could take a number of those from the list. It looks like... I'm going to get confused here. It looks like Nick Fury is going to try and be the mentor, but he gets a backhander. He's like, get away, Nick Fury. You don't suit this character.
You leave me alone.
And then he chooses Mysterio to be his next kind of mentor. Mm-hmm. We have the traditional kind of midway conflict, which is
a big reveal.
Well, no, you have the false reveal of defeating the elementals. So we win. Oh my God, what a great thing!
We did it.
And then we transfer the MacGuffin. So the MacGuffin in this cake. McGuffin cakes, which are very delicious. The MacGuffin in this particular story is Edith, which are a pair of sunglasses that pretty much give whoever wears it
control over Stark.
And that is the crown. So it's the heavy is the head that wears the crown element, and Edith is the crown. And it's kind of funny because they're Tony Stark's glasses, which is very in keeping what Tony Stark was. They were kind of his recognizable trait. It was his douchebag 2000
and his bloody beard,
his beardy face. And so we see that, and then we stop there, and the hero's journey has our big issue, which is where we find out that Mysterio was, and full spoilers from now on, bloody bad egg all along.
He's a bad egg, he's a baddie.
We called that on this podcast months ago.
And everybody knew.
Everybody knew. Except for some people. I found a lot of people being, especially on the Reddit. I suppose if you're an MCU fan and not a comic book fan, people were like, ooh, multiverse. Yeah, ooh, how interesting.
They twisted a lot. Jake Gyllenhaal, he's always a good guy.
He's always a good guy. And Jake Gyllenhaal held up the pretense in all interviews. Yeah. He was like, I think we've really reinvigorated the character,
Well, Ben, let's be honest here. I like what they did with him.
Oh, it's great.
I thought it was good.
It's great.
I've heard one or two people who say that the villain reveal was a bit corny, where he got up on the table and pointed out how everyone...
But I think that's the whole point. I think the whole point is that Quentin Beck is a big old cornball with a big ego.
And Ben, another villain for Spider-Man to fight caused by Tony Stark.
Yeah, it's legacy. Legacy,
it's
Michael.
All the legacy of bloody Tony Stark being a jerk to people.
He just does it a lot. Can't
help it.
It's interesting to see the legacy take part from Civil War. Because he's supposed to be a good guy there, but apparently he's still being a dickbag.
He's still being a bit of a dick.
So it was interesting to see that.
It's not that he's a dick per se. It's just that he doesn't think about the little people when he's doing things.
Yeah, they took his tech.
They took his tech and called it barf.
Barf, yeah, which he was not happy about at all. Which is fair. It's a pretty revolutionary piece of tech.
Ben, my second favourite cameo actually, but my favourite cameo was from the guy who couldn't make the thing because he wasn't Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Tony Stark made this in a cave!
Yeah, and he came back.
And then he said, I'm not Tony Stark,
and now he's back. Role by the end.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see all that come back. So there's a big reveal. So if we keep going along our hero's journey then...
All right, okay, that's what we're doing.
We have our wrestling with the power and the responsibility. Spider-Man gets his ass handed to him by a train.
Yeah.
One of the things I really enjoyed is how the illusions that Mysterio casts allowed him to be a bigger threat than what he would be normally. Because Spider-Man points it out very accurately. He's just a guy.
Just a guy. I'm just going to punch him in the head, kick him in the head.
And that makes sense. So he has to hide behind all these illusions, and it's very well done.
A very good illusion sequence at the midway point.
We're finally we got to see. So anyway, he goes back. He has to reassess who he is. He embraces parts of the legacy of Tony Stark, and he kind of goes his own way. And it all works out. It all goes.
Or does it?
Or does it? Well, we'll do that a little bit later, Michael. But it was a simple story.
A very simple story.
Told very well, though.
Yeah, very simple story. Not a complex villain.
No.
An amusing
but
villain.
A good one.
An amusing villain.
I mean, one.
We understood his motivations for the most part, however simple they were.
But a lot of characterization went into that villain as well.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland is my favourite on-screen Spider-Man ever now, definitively. I think T-Mags is probably off the list for me. But I think Tom Holland does a great job of that character. I think he gets to the nervous element just about there.
One of the things that Tom Holland he's too handsome to be believable as a nerdy loser.
He is.
And also that Zendaya has essentially, despite him being a nerdy loser, fallen in love with him.
That does technically fit Zendaya's character, though. She's a real introvert in this universe.
Yeah.
She's not the classic Mary Jane.
Oh, she's not Mary Jane.
Jackpot.
They never call her Michelle, do they?
No, it's
They're
MJ.
just sticking with MJ.
Yeah, no, they just switched it over. But
that was one of the most unnecessary twists of all time.
She's a real nerd in this. And it's interesting to kind of see that transition. They seem to have grown apart since the blip as well. They're not as close as they were in the first film, where it was her, Ned, and Peter all the time. And now it seems to be Ned and Peter, and MJ seems to be doing her own thing a little bit. But they all got snapped at the same time.
They all got snapped,
except for fucking Brad.
I hate Brad.
Fucking Brad. Great piece of characterization there. What a great mini villain. Now, there's your Flash Thompson. Like, there's a Flash Thompson I could have gotten behind.
But Flash Thompson is in it.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean. I don't like the Flash Thompson that's in it. I don't. That's not racist. Would you stop?
It's because you don't like characters being recast. You want your Flash Thompson to be a blonde guy. Well, you just said that Asian guy would be a good.
Yes. So how about you get off your bloody high horse?
My bloody high horse.
Your highfalutin horse. Anyway, I thought it was great. I came out of the cinema with a lovely light feeling, and I didn't sit next to Jim this time, so it couldn't have been him.
We all kind of enjoyed it, didn't we?
We
all
did.
Kind of came out going, that was great. That was really great.
Great film.
Yeah.
One of the sequences I absolutely loved was the big Mysterio illusion thing.
The Mysterio illusion in the midway point where he does the Scarecrow on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Very good.
Bloody good. Like right up there with the Stephen Strange LSD sequences from Stephen Strange, obviously, Doctor Strange, and it was great. The spheres inside the spheres inside the spheres. You're in a snow globe. No, wait, it's Mysterio's head. It's a spider's eyeball. Oh god!
It was very entertaining.
Bloody god!
There were some things, Ben. I like when they revealed Quentin Beck at the end that he was wearing a mocap suit.
Yeah, the whole time. That I think was genius, because his superhero suit when he's playing Mysterio is magnificent. It makes him look like a real hero. And it's interesting how he chose to play him in the mocap suit. The mocap suit is very tight, and it looks like Jake Gyllenhaal left a little bit of weight on for the mocap sequences. So he looks a lot schlubbier and chubbier and not quite as heroic in the mocap suit.
Just a normal man.
But it's really interesting to see that shift, because he's intensely likable as Quentin Beck. He's a little over the top at times, and that's what makes it so great. But it's interesting to see. That's a tummy rumble there. Sorry about that, guys. It was interesting to see how he shifted the character from heroic to villainous. It was really well done. He looks a lot less impressive when the cape is taken off and the chest plate and stuff like that. Even when he's standing up on the bar giving his speech, it's kind of like, he just looks kind of dorky now.
What villain is Tony Stark going to create next?
I think they have to stop now, don't they?
I don't think so. I think that they're going to go and do the guy who escaped with the footage at the end.
Well, he's definitely the guy that massive spoilers for the end.
Spoilers. Here comes the spoilers now. Watch out for them.
Spider-Man's identity is revealed at the end of Spider-Man Far
By
From Home.
who, Ben?
By that guy.
No.
Oh, by J. Jonah Jameson returned. As
absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
J.K. Simmons.
Brilliant. J.K. Simmons back
I
again.
want pictures of Spider-Man. Very good.
And it was bloody great. It was a perfect little cameo, Alex Jones style J. Jonah Jameson.
He's an
which makes
InfoWars.
perfect sense.
Yeah, it's and explains how, if he's going to be a major character in the next film, which I hope he is.
I think he will be.
If he is a major character in the next one, it would explain how they can do. Because let's be honest, the J. Jonah Jameson from the Sam Raimi films was quite cartoonish.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't quite fit in with the MCU
with the
world.
MCU, no,
but he would if he was playing that character on an InfoWars type show.
because those guys are like that.
And then off screen, he was more like the J.K. Simmons from Whiplash.
Oh yeah, like a really intense, Yeah, so I
guy,
think,
and then he goes on camera and he becomes this kind of exaggerated
form.
It's a really good way
I'd
of
like
doing
to
it.
see a sit down between J.K. Simmons, MCU, J. Jonah Jameson, and Spider-Man. I'd like to see that conversation take place.
I would like to see a change from the kind of bombastic Spider-Man's a menace.
Yeah,
And then he sits down with him, and he's not like that.
that could be
when
played
the
very
camera-
well.
That could be brilliant.
I think you could have Tom Holland psyching himself up. He's like, okay, I'm going to go in. He's going to shout at me. I'm going to say this. I'm going to do this. And he goes in. He's like, sit down.
Yeah,
Take a seat.
But he's still bad.
Fantastic to meet you. And he'll be like all over the top. And he's going to try and make a marketing deal with them and have it set up as a... I don't know. These are all predictions, Michael. I don't write for the MCU. Maybe we should. We put in jobs.
Well, we did start a Moon Knight thing, remember, which we still haven't done.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're getting dangerously
Yeah.
close to have to watch all 6 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, God. I think the way it was done this time was very simple, very clean. I liked it. Good innovation on the villains, just like the Vulture before. A very 21st century villain this time. We have that whole thing of fake news.
Yeah.
What's the name of that technology? Deepfakes.
Deepfakes.
Like, that's all going 90%. Like, it's interesting to see that. 100% was the term I should have used there.
It's all going 90%.
That's all going 90%.
What does that mean?
I don't know. One of the things that I like most is we've brought Spider-Man back to his roots. One of the things that irritated me at the start of the film is, and you pointed it out to me, Spider-Man,
at the start of the film?
Not at the start.
Because we don't talk in the cinema, Ben.
We meet a midway point where in Venice he does an L jump. Spider-Man does a jump.
Yeah.
And he uses something to help him make the jump. And you very accurately said in a very quick comment, he could do that without the pole. He doesn't need to do
when
that.
he does the pole vault.
There does seem to be an interesting thing happening with his powers where they can't decide if he's very strong, very good, very this, very
He's
that.
very strong and sticky.
He is sometimes. But other times he isn't, and it depends on the way the film... Obviously, for action sequences and things like that, it's important to do that kind of thing. But he goes back to basics at the end of the film. He drops all the robotic armor and makes himself a new suit using Stark Tech.
Mostly fabric.
So that he can use his spider sense. Because his spider sense isn't working. And I think it's something to do with the suit. I think all the metallic readouts and stuff like that really interfere with his spider sense. So it's interesting to see him go back to basics. I was happy to see that happen.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be Iron Man. He should be Spider-Man.
But I think that's what it was. I think it was very much a thing of, I'm not the next Iron Man, I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because his suit is super metal at the beginning. It's that responsive suit with the Scarlet Spider costume, the Iron Spider, costume from the Civil War era comics. And it was good to see him go back to the basics. Also, I will forever hold in my heart dear. Oh, I love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that was very good.
It's great, very good.
No, it was Led Zeppelin, wasn't it?
No, it was AC/DC. That's the best part. Spider-Man doesn't understand.
Don't explain jokes to me.
Sorry. It was for the listeners.
I couldn't remember what song it was. It's Back in Black.
It was Back in Black. It was the traditional song from the first Iron Man.
Back in Black. Back in Black.
It was interesting to see the black suit.
Black suit's coming.
Nothing came of it.
Not your head.
But we'll have a little bit...
Night Monkey.
Night Monkey. Well, I think we'll have a little bit... I think we're probably going to see the identity crisis in the next one.
I don't think that's not the black suit. That was the noir suit.
It's the noir suit. Yeah, it was.
That's not the symbiote suit.
I don't know if we get to see the symbiote suit.
Well, there's a rumor of Venom being integrated into the MCU.
He shouldn't be. Venom...
No, don't do it.
Venom in that world without...
Leave it alone.
Without the Spider-Man history, what's the point in that Venom?
Why is he going to care?
Yeah. Also, you've established him as a hero. There's not going to be any identity crisis here.
No, start afresh.
Start afresh, get a new Venom suit in.
Yeah.
Look, I do like a Tom Hardy, but he can feck off and just give the suit back to Spider-Man.
Just have introduced Tom Hardy. They've done it now. They've done it with J. Jonah Jameson. They've shown they're willing to bring good casting choices across.
He could be Eddie Brock in the next one.
Just bring him in as Eddie Brock.
For J. Jonah Jameson.
Well, not an intern, a staff writer.
Staff, whatever you
Like-
fancy. Whatever you fancy. I feel like it'd be
See
an
what I'm
intern, though. I feel like it'd be an intern.
He's a bit old to be an intern.
That's taken advantage of, I think,
I
maybe.
think he's a bit old to be an intern, isn't he?
I
though?
don't think that's how it works in America anymore. It's pretty much slave labor all the time. You have to do an internship to get experience.
Ugh.
But on top of all that, I would like to see, I think maybe the pressure of having his identity out there and stuff like that is probably going to lead Spider-Man to a very stressful
I want pictures
time
of
in his
Spider-Man.
But I think he'll go the darker route to start putting down these threats quicker because his family is involved now. So I think that could be really good motivation for a kind of a harsher, crueler Spider-Man because now his family's in danger all the time and his friends are in danger all the time. It's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Or they might just go Sinister Six.
Yeah. I mean, that's also possible.
They've established the Vulture, Mysterio, Scorpion.
I'd like to see Green Goblin back. Green Goblin's always a personal favourite.
There is a rumor going around that Marvel are casting someone called what is it? They've put out a casting call for someone called the Gentleman or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but it's a man in his late 30s to early 50s, who's going to be a major.
Kingpin?
Kingpin has already been cast.
Oh, who is Kingpin?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
No, that doesn't count anymore. None of that
It does
exists.
count. They're not gonna. I don't think
that exists.
It does. I don't think they'll bring Kingpin into the Spider-Man films. I think it might be a Norman Osborn. I think they
That'd be
might be
good.
going down the Sword and Shield Hammer route.
Oh, where he takes over, where Nick Fury has a vacuum, and that'd be interesting.
I think they might introduce a Norman Osborn. They might skip Green Goblin and go straight to Iron Patriot.
That'd be good, actually.
Although they've kind of done Iron Patriot with War Machine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's tricky. Anyway, looking forward to seeing what happens next in the MCU.
It'll be bloody good.
Bloody V good. V good.
Ben, the other twist.
You gotta help me out here.
Nick Fury's a Thalos.
Oh,
He's a
yeah,
bloody
that's the best
Australian
twist of
in
the
space.
thing. Ben Mendelsohn making the movie even better than it already was. You gave me the interesting thought. It was like, maybe Kobe Smulders as Maria Hill has always been a Skrull.
Because we don't know, do we?
Because we know Nick Fury isn't.
Yeah, because we've seen the
before.
year.
So the big twist is Nick Fury's in space. Yeah. He's up there working on something new. Looks like he's in charge of the Skrulls.
I said that I copped this during the film. Did I say this to you?
No,
or did I say it to other people? I figured that out during the film. No one's going to believe me, but I feel that I did. Okay. Because in the introduction of Quentin Beck, Nicholas Fury says to him, he's from Earth, just not your Earth. Not our Earth. And I went, that's not Nick Fury.
Odd. It would also explain a lot of the characterization of Nick Fury, because Nick Fury's a little bit off throughout the entire film. He's not as in control as he would normally be.
A lot of the times we think he's talking to Nick Fury, he's actually talking to Quentin Beck.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So the scene where Nick Fury picks him up from the train station and gets shot, and
I think that was Nick Fury, wasn't it? No, it was all just part of the con. I missed that.
The whole thing was the con. It was layers upon layers.
I missed that. I'm very Inception. Very, very Chris Nolan.
It was a good film. Ben.
Yeah.
It's funny, some of the things you said there. A lot of the things that you mentioned about Spider-Man 2, 3 parallel things in Spider-Man 2, 1, which I watched the other day.
The Sam Raimi
one, Spider-Man 2, because that also is about great power and great responsibility.
Yes, it was.
Although much more directly Uncle Ben related.
Much more, always.
But it is about Spider-Man having to make the decision to give up being Spider-Man.
Yes.
He decides to give up rather than just take a break and go on vacation, as the Americans say.
Give it up, baby, give it up.
Spider-Man, give it up, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, give it up. No, we've accidentally... we were trying to do that badly, but it started going well.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be able to keep the beat. But yeah, so that does mirror it quite a bit.
It does mirror quite a bit of it. And it also bloody has... Yeah, no, there's a lot of parallels between the two.
Yeah.
They're although without the great power, great responsibility. It also has probably, I would say, Ben, a better character arc than Spider-Man 2, 3.
Now,
because, yes, go on.
Justify that there for me now.
Because, Ben, Spider-Man, we meet him, he's a real loser in Spider-Man 2, 3.
Yeah.
He's like, everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
Everything. MJ is much less likable, though. So you're looking at him going, I don't know why you're pining over her. She's obnoxious.
Do you mean Mary Jane? Or do you mean Kirsten Dunst, MJ?
Yes.
I hate Kirsten Dunst, MJ.
Everybody hates Kirsten Dunst,
Oh
MJ.
my god.
They have terrible chemistry.
They've none. Zero.
You're watching
Zilch.
it going, no, stop pursuing her.
She's not worth your time.
Just
my
leave
friend.
it. You're
Respect yourself.
Well, he has no self-respect. So many celebrities in it, by the way.
Yeah, he just slaps them in there. Raimi's just calling in all the favours.
But a lot of them weren't celebrities then.
Mm.
Every bit player in Spider-Man 2
Has gone on to bigger, better things.
There's bloody Bones. She's in it.
Yeah.
Joel, what's his name from Community?
Joel McHale.
Joel McHale.
What was he?
He's the banker
Oh, he is.
who rejects them. Joey something from The Sopranos. He's there.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name.
Every bit part went on to become a bigger actor. It's kind of amazing.
Apparently, Bruce Campbell was supposed to be the original Quentin Beck. If
Yes.
Sam Raimi got his trilogy, or got a follow-on to his trilogy.
And he was going to be kind of behind making Peter's life a bit miserable.
Yeah, because he's always there.
Because he's always there. Daniel Day Kim is in it.
No.
Yeah. He plays Dr. Octopus's assistant.
Gas.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. The weird thing about it, though, is, well, not the weird thing, but one of the things they've done very well in the newer films is having villains who aren't just someone for Spider-Man to punch about.
Yeah, it takes more than a simple whack-a-mole kind of plot.
Because if he had punched the Vulture in the head, the Vulture would have died.
We saw that in a little bit in MCU Spider-Man 2, where Flash gets just clipped a little bit.
Yeah,
He's just gone. He's out like a light.
slap.
Yeah, he just gets a little. It's not even a slap. It's just a brush. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then I loved it that the girl sitting behind him was like, did you just knock out Flash? He's like, no. He's sleeping. And it was just an amazing little moment where she was like, you just knocked out Flash.
I'm pretty sure you just knocked Flash out there. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Very good.
But in bloody Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man 2, he punches Alfred Molina in the head multiple times full force.
And he's fine.
Yeah. Somehow having the arms grafted onto him made him immune to
Physical damage.
punches to the head.
Which are quite strong. Like, Spider-Man is established as a very strong
Very
character.
strong, Ben. He'd punch a man's head off as soon as look at him.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing that...
So the whole point of Dr. Octopus really should be that the mechanical arms keep Spider-Man away.
Yeah.
But they didn't really use that idea.
Yeah. It was hard at the time. CGI could only go so far. They did a great job.
They're not CGI, Ben. Have you seen the behind the scenes of it?
Really?
They're puppets.
No.
The Spider-Man arms in Spider-Man 2 are puppets.
That's amazing.
And each puppet is operated by two guys with sticks.
No.
Yeah, and then they're on hydraulics to open and close the jaws.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. The behind the scenes
I'm going to have to take a look at that now.
The behind the scenes of Alfred Molina trying to take a sip of whiskey or a puff of a cigar with the claws are hilarious because someone was puppeting the claws.
That's
up to
amazing.
Him. It's amazing. It is. Some of it's probably CG.
They're almost definitely.
The vast majority of it is practical.
Amazing.
Practical on blue screen.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's a very good film.
Yeah,
Ben.
Spider-Man 2 is prior to the last two probably the best the Spider-Man had to offer.
I think, Ben, this is where I was going earlier before you kept rudely interrupting me. I think that as a film, a film, right? A film for norms. I think Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man Far From Home.
I'll give you that. I won't argue with you on that one.
If you weren't invested in the MCU and you didn't think the Mysterio, like if you weren't impressed by modern special effects and just as a film about characters, Spider-Man 2 has a lot more going on.
It does.
Because there's the whole thing where he reveals to Aunt May that he feels responsible for
Uncle Ben's
untimely
demise.
And her reaction to that and her forgiving him and secretly knowing he's Spider-Man, and then he meets the neighbor and Aunt May tells him the story about how the neighbor needs Spider-Man. They need hope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
wink, wink.
There's just a lot more
character development being pushed through
of Spider-Man.
One of the interesting things I think about the new one is Aunt May is sometimes present in it, very much so. She doesn't have a lot of influence on Spider-Man in general, or doesn't seem
she's
to.
not his
Moral compass.
No,
or,
not at all.
And even Happy doesn't fulfill that role. That's one of the things I liked about it. He kind of has to fulfill that role himself in the MCU Spider-Man 2 because he just realizes that he can't look up to people. I think that's probably what's going to stick most with the Quentin Beck arc, is that he's going to not trust people. I think that's how the third one's going to play out, and I think that's what's going to lead to that identity crisis, because he won't trust people anymore after being stung by this particular thing. He won't know who to trust anymore.
He'll think everyone's Quentin Beck.
That's what I mean. So I think you're going to see some interesting character development from that point of view. Now, that being said,
Go on.
the MCU has a formula. It has a way of making films, and that kind of depth that you're describing in Raimi Spider-Man 2 is not there. In Spider-Man 2 Electric MCU Boogaloo.
No, it isn't.
No.
It's a much more flashy surface level product.
But it's good. I did think they overdid the CGI sometimes.
I don't think they did. I think the CGI was spectacularly spot on, especially with the nature of the villain.
Fair.
But there's just less depth to it. I think it's better acted. They're more likable characters. The special effects are better.
No Dunst.
No Kirsten Dunst. I don't like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
Oh,
he's too much of a sad sack.
Great in the suit, though.
I don't even think I don't really get a Spider-Man vibe from the suit. I think the best person in the suit was Andrew Garfield.
Stop that.
I think he was.
Don't you?
He was the only one who did a quip.
Yeah, Spider-Man got a few quips in there.
A few little quips, but it's
Holland makes his best, but they don't want that. They want a very particular type of character, I think.
His name's Tom Holland, and he was in Holland in the film.
Yeah, it was great. Holland squared. Hull squared. So that was very enjoyable all around. Who do you think they'd pick for the next villain? Who do you think is going to?
I think it's going to be a Sinister Six.
You think it's going to be full Sinister Sticks?
Yeah.
You bloody Birch,
because
evil Birch.
They've already got Vulture and Mysterio, and they both share that origin of being started by Tony Stark.
But Mysterio is no longer with us,
or isn't he?
Oh, please don't bring him back.
He's Mysterio,
he
Ben.
had a great bloody end.
Or did he?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But I liked the scene at the end where he's like, "You can't trick me anymore," and he has that really kind of annoyed thing going on, which I enjoyed. I hope he's gone, because it was a good end to that character.
Yeah, but he'll be back.
He'll be back, probably. Bloody bad egg.
Maybe he'll just be back, but it'll be holograms, and it's not him. It's the other guy. Just
doing
holograms of him.
Yeah, doing holograms of him. But I'm looking forward to it. Get a Craven in there. Craven's always fun to see knocking around.
Look, Craven needs the black suit, and you need the humiliation and stuff for Craven. There's so much Spider-Man stuff going on, Ben.
Oh, look. It's a Spider-Man world.
And we just bloody live in it.
And we just bloody live in it. Yeah.
Go on. No, you do.
No, go on. No, you have your thing.
I was going to say that you don't want to go down the route of making the mistake that the Ultimate Universe did.
Where he dies?
No, well, that wasn't a mistake, because that gave the world Miles Morales.
And who doesn't love Miles Morales?
Well, I mean, I don't.
Oh.
I don't love Miles Morales.
Well, you led me down that bloody path very quickly.
I don't dislike Miles Morales either.
Goodness.
He's not one of my favourite
characters.
How
the racist tables have turned.
I don't really like replacement characters. I prefer new characters.
Fair.
Anyway, look, what I was saying was...
Anyway.
Did you read The Ultimate Spider-Man, Ben?
Yes,
when
I
it was
did.
published in the early 2000s.
So I'm going to have an anecdotal moment, because you had your anecdotal moment earlier on.
Spin your wheels, Ben.
Diddly-diddly-doo. Cast your mind back to, I think it was around 2006, Michael.
That's way too late.
2006, when I went to Dat America for the first time.
When you went through puberty, yeah.
When I went through puberty for the first time. And I went to Dat America.
Yeah.
I went to Dat America, I went to Colorado, and I hiked in the Rockies for 3 weeks.
Did you?
I did. And one of my favourite things that I found was probably where I purchased my first set of comic books in a proper fashion.
Did you tell my lady friend about that?
I didn't.
Because she said this week, well, maybe we'll go to the Rockies and have a hike this summer.
Rockies is a great choice.
Oh.
I strongly, vehemently recommend that you do that with your good lady friend. But I went, and one of the wonderful things about going to Dat America is the consumerism, Michael. The sheer consumerism.
Everyone loves buying stuff.
The sheer consumerism. Not that much cheaper than the hometown anymore. But in 2006, Michael...
Ben, don't get me started.
Prime buying time.
Yeah.
So I picked up my first ever issues of different comic books. My first ever comic graphic novel.
Oh.
A trade paperback.
Right.
And that was The Ultimate Spider-Man. Unfortunately, Michael, I picked up Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3, collecting issues 7 to 12, I think.
I thought you were going to say, unfortunately, I picked up chlamydia.
I picked up chlamydia. I was a bit young to be picking up chlamydia now. I was 15.
What happens in Volume 3?
This is where Norman Osborn goes completely off the rails and turns into the big mutated Green Goblin and threatens everything. And I read that, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the art style so much, but I enjoyed the comic.
Is that Mark
book.
Bagley?
I think it was. Yeah, it was the real anime kind of inspired Spider-Man, which suits that kind of action. So that's my little story there. So I have read quite a bit. I went back and read quite a bit. An interesting take on a lot of the things. I also played the excellent PlayStation 2 game. Ultimate Spider-Man.
People love that.
Where you could play Venom or Spider-Man.
Oh, that one, not the Amazing Spider-Man 2. People generally consider the Amazing Spider-Man 2 the best Spider-Man game of all time.
Except for the new one, which is leagues ahead.
Have you played it?
I haven't played it. Have
you?
you?
Neither have I, no. We played Spider-Man on the Sega Mega Drive, remember?
We'll have to get it.
I don't have a PlayStation, Ben.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, we can get it.
Bloody, I'm learning a lot about you today.
Yeah. My brother has it.
Bloody,
we bought it together.
Have you got Spider-Man?
No, I can get it though.
Bloody, you get Spider-Man, bring it up here, we'll have a little go with Spider-Man. We'll do a little go with Spider-Man.
Fucking let's play. Yeah, so...
Last time we got defeated by Electro.
We probably will in this one as well, he's in there.
What was I saying?
Sorry, what I was saying was, have I read Ultimate Spider-Man? My answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Ultimate Spider-Man started very, very well.
Yeah.
It originally was a kind of retelling of the Spider-Man origin, not in a single comic over an arc.
Yeah, which is
good. It was very good. And it really gradually introduced things. But then it got a little bit of a turn towards, quick, let's do Venom. Quick, let's do...
Yeah.
And
they did the Clone Wars.
They did the Clone Saga.
No need.
The Clone Wars is Star Wars, Ben. They did the Clone Saga. They did everything in the end.
Yeah.
And they did it faster.
No need.
Because originally the whole point was slowing it down and letting him be in high school and all that stuff.
Take it easy.
But then instead of doing that, they spread everything that had happened to Spider-Man over 60 years. They did it in the span of about 6 years.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
So it all got very, very fast.
Bit like what they do with Batman at the minute in the DC universe. They cram a lot into Batman at the minute.
Have you been reading Spider-Man recently?
The last thing I read Spider-Man related was the wonderful Chip Zdarsky Peter Parker, which was a very good run. That focused far more on the core of the character as Peter Parker. I really enjoyed it. I also read the Villains United. I don't know what they called it, where Boomerang Man was with a bunch of... It was like a Sinister Six spin-off, but it was a comedy piece.
Oh, yeah.
It was very good. Very enjoyable for a while. And I read the first few issues of the new Kirkman... Not Kirkman.
No.
Is it Kirkman?
It is Kirkman.
It is
no,
Kirkman.
It isn't. It isn't Kirkman. It's
Ryan Otley.
Ryan Otley.
Who was the other guy?
Some other lad.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first few of that and then went off it completely when Ryan Otley stopped being the regular artist.
He's a regular artist again. He's back.
Oh, he's
They're
back.
swapping. They're swapping between Ryan Otley and Huberto Ramos.
Just keep the one. Just
Ben, look, that's not the real world. That's not how it works.
Anyway.
Look, they're introducing a new villain called Kindred. He just killed Mysterio.
What?
Yeah.
Goodness.
But Mysterio's always dying and coming back.
I'll be back.
Was it even Mysterio?
He'll be back. Was it Ghosthead Mysterio? Is that who died? I don't know whether they kept that design from the Ultimate Universe.
No.
New Mysterio was very interesting.
Normal fishbowl Mysterio. What was I saying there, Ben?
I don't know. Oh, Kindred is the strange creature
centipedes
with...
centipedes and bandages.
There are many theories going out about who that might be.
Go on, give us some.
It's to do with the Doc Ock Superior Spider-Man takeover, where they transferred consciousness.
Yeah, I read all of that.
And it's something to do with... It's like a mutated version of a consciousness that was left behind that's inhabiting another body, so it's like an evil Peter Parker.
Oh, another classic evil Peter Parker.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like Kane.
We haven't had enough.
Yeah.
And Ben Reilly when he was on a moody streak.
I hope not. I hope it's not another evil Peter Parker.
But anyway, it'll be interesting. Who do you think it is in the comic books?
I don't know.
You don't have any idea?
I don't know. I don't know. And to be honest, I don't really care.
MJ's back though. She's a staple
she's
again.
Back. She's they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Not Zendaya MJ, original MJ.
Original MJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, the last bit of controversy that we forgot to cover, and I'm going to shove it in here because we didn't do it at the start. Bloody Black Ariel, Black Little Mermaid. The internet's losing their shit.
Is it?
Speaking of, the internet's burning. They're like, you can't have a black mermaid. And everyone's like, it's a mermaid. Yes, you can.
You can have any colour
totally
mermaid.
You can have any colour mermaid you want. But yeah, it's great.
Is the argument that she should be Danish?
Yeah, apparently she should be a red-haired Dane. No, they're just losing their shit. I'm enjoying it immensely. The internet's just broken.
This is going to be Danish. How to talk like this?
That's a terrible Danish impression.
So
on that note, ladies and gentlemen, how did you feel about the different incarnations of Spider-Man that we've seen? We were supposed to do an overall Spider-Man review, but we kind of got...
You can't do an overall Spider-Man review in an hour, Ben.
Kind of got webbed up in the movie Spider-Man. So I'm going to end on that high note, ladies and gentlemen. Who is your favourite on-screen Spider-Man? The obvious answer is the ones that we already gave you, but you can disagree with us if you want. Have you seen the movie? Did you enjoy it?
I did, yeah.
What are your predictions for the next one? How's that going to go? Are you Team Stark? Would you wear a t-shirt Team Stark?
I would.
Get on board. You Team Stark or Team Beck? Which one's going to be?
The Mysterio design was great, though.
The Mysterio design was bloody good. But let us know down below what you thought of the whole affair. Let us know, are black mermaids a thing? Should they be?
I think they should be.
Why can't everybody just chill the fuck out and let a black person play a mermaid? What's the big deal?
Everyone likes...
But yeah, sure, we're going to do that.
Although, there's the whole thing. Remember the Ben Dymo controversy?
Oh, well, we recast and then it turns out... Well, I don't think it's... Yeah, I don't know. Look, we'll talk about it next week on the podcast. That's it from us. We're on Seomra Beag, SEOMRABEAG.com. I'm doing my wrap-up. Leave it up. Baby, give it up. Give it
Keep wrapping
up.
up. Keep wrapping
Let me wrap it up.
Very good.
Na 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 na. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. On Facebook. We've also got a website.
Na 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 na.
All right, that's it. Bye.